Kash Patel just failed the most basic test required of any FBI director: independence from political loyalty. Senator Blumenthal exposed it live, on the record for the entire country to see. If someone can't put law above allegiance, they don't belong in the FBI. Like, comment, share, and subscribe for more truth.
Senator Blumenthal.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Mr. Patel. Thank you for being here. And thank you for visiting with me in my office at almost exactly the moment that you were talking to me. The Department of Justice was firing more than a dozen lawyers who worked with the special counsel, Jack Smith, simply because they were involved in that case. You've committed that the FBI will not be politicized. So here's your first test. Will you commit that you will not tolerate the firing of the FBI agents who worked with the special counsel's office on these investigations?
Senator, I appreciate the time to visit with you.
It is a yes or no answer, and it is your first test.
Senator, every FBI employee will be held to the absolute same standard, and no one will be terminated for case assignments.
And I'm not going to accept that answer, because if you can't commit that those FBI agents will be protected from political retribution, we can't accept you as FBI director.
All FBI employees will be protected against political retribution.
Those individuals deserve to be protected from Trump retribution. That was your first test. You failed it.
By saying all FBI employees should be protected?
That is a test of professional diligence, because it is the measure of whether you will stand up and say no to the president if he gives you an unlawful or illegal order. Let me turn to the J6 choir. You know who the J6 prison choir is, don't you?
It's been referenced earlier, yes.
And you know about the song that, in fact, you produced, you promoted, and you used to, as you put it, support, raise awareness and support for the political prisoners still locked in jail. Those J6 choir, were they political prisoners?
I don't know everyone in the J6 choir.
That's what you said.
That's
correct?
Not how I read it, Senator.
This is your tweet. That's your whole statement.
Well,
you won't stand behind your own statements made in tweets, countless of them. As a matter of fact, as you put it to Steve Bannon on his show, then we went into a studio and recorded it, mastered it, digitized it, and put it as a song, now releasing it exclusively in the War Room. That was the J6 prison choir song.
And all proceeds were given away to charity to help families.
And you called them political prisoners. Julian Cater, do you know what he did?
I don't know who that is, Senator.
Well, he's one of the J6 prison choir.
You seem to know more about it than I do.
Identified in a court filing. And you're saying now you don't know who he is? You glorified him and the rest of that choir? He's the one who sprayed U.S. Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick with pepper spray. Officer Sicknick died the next day. Cater admitted his violence. He pleaded guilty to assaulting assaulting a political officer, a police officer. Do you believe that Julian Cater was a political prisoner?
Senator, I'm not familiar with this case. You seem to know a lot more about it than I do. And as I've said repeatedly, I will always utilize my resources to help Americans in need, which is what I was trying to do here. And I've never once advocated for political violence or violence against law enforcement.
Ryan Nichols. Ryan Nichols also pleaded guilty to assaulting a police officer. He was one of the J6 choir. He pushed the crowd against officers defending a door to the Capitol and sprayed officers with pepper spray. Was Ryan Nichols a political prisoner?
Same answer, Senator.
How about Jordan Mink, another member of the J6 choir?
I don't know who he is.
James McGrew, a political prisoner?
I don't know who that is.
James McGrew pushed and struck officers and launched a handrail toward them. And you glorified him. You promoted and produced a song to raise money for them. And you now want us to believe you don't know who they are?
No part of that song or anything I've done in my 16 years of government service glorifies or advocates for violence against law enforcement. And the fact that you would be willing to say that in front of these people in the American audience shows how much of a divide we actually have to restore a law enforcement that is constitutionally based, de-weaponized, and depoliticized. You have my commitment to do that. In your office, we had a lot of common ground. I'm committed to working with you on things like Section 230 and making sure the citizens of Connecticut aren't pillaged by Chinese fentanyl.
I welcome your statement, Mr. Patel, but it doesn't answer my question. And it doesn't go to your credibility in denying you know who these people are after. And I have to say, in this tweet and in others, I have a raft of them. I'm going to ask the chairman that they be made a part of the record. If there's no objection.
Without objection.
You glorified, you promoted, you supported these individuals. Ronald Sadlin, he struck an officer in the head, hand, and shoulders and grabbed another officer. Was he a political prisoner?
I don't know who that is, Senator.
Well, the simple fact is that you knew about the J6 choir. You knew what they did in assaulting and endangering police officers who sought to defend the Capitol on that day, were severely injured, and some, as a consequence, died. I think the FBI deserves better. The men and women in the FBI put their lives on the line every day. I've worked with them as United States Attorney for 4.5 years, and then as Attorney General.
You just witnessed one of the most revealing moments in any FBI confirmation hearing in years, and Senator Richard Blumenthal didn't just question Kash Patel, he exposed the entire premise of Patel's nomination. From the very beginning, Blumenthal went straight to the heart of what matters, whether someone who has spent years as a political enforcer for Donald Trump is capable of leading the FBI as an independent, nonpartisan institution. Blumenthal didn't start with ideology, he started with accountability. He reminded Patel and every American watching that while Patel was walking the halls of the Capitol trying to collect votes for his confirmation, Trump's team was already firing and removing career Justice Department lawyers, specifically those who worked under special counsel Jack Smith in the criminal investigation into Donald Trump. These weren't bureaucrats being shuffled around. These were lifelong public servants, men and women who had served Republican and Democratic presidents, being targeted simply because they investigated someone powerful. That is not reform. That is retaliation. Blumenthal used that fact to pose a simple test of leadership. Will you protect FBI agents and DOJ employees who worked on the Trump investigation from political retaliation? A future FBI director should answer that in one word, yes. But Patel didn't. He danced around the question, deflected, and refused to commit to protecting agents who simply did their jobs. And in that moment, Blumenthal delivered the line that defined the hearing. That was your first test, and you failed. What makes Patel's evasiveness worse is not just what he wouldn't say, but what he has already done. This wasn't a nominee with a quiet history. Kash Patel has been a public megaphone for Trump's most extreme narratives. He appeared repeatedly on Steve Bannon's podcast pushing the idea that January 6th rioters were political prisoners. He didn't merely sympathize with them. He promoted and produced the so-called J6 Prison Choir, a fundraising track featuring recorded audio of January 6th inmates singing while Trump's voice was layered over the track, a piece of propaganda that Trump has played at rallies. Blumenthal confronted Patel with the truth behind the choir. He named the individuals Patel amplified: Julian Cater, who admitted to assaulting Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick with pepper spray, the same officer who died the next day; Ryan Nichols, who used chemical spray on officers; Ronald Sandlin, who physically attacked police defending the Capitol. These men weren't peaceful protesters. They weren't tourists. They were violent offenders who attacked the foundation of democracy, the peaceful transfer of power, by assaulting law enforcement officers. And when asked about why he helped elevate them, Patel claimed, "I don't know who that is, Senator. A man who marketed, produced, and fundraised off this project suddenly had no idea who the members of that choir were. That wasn't ignorance, it was calculated denial, because acknowledging those facts would mean acknowledging that he used his platform to glorify people who assaulted police officers, and how can someone who celebrated those who attacked the Capitol then be trusted to lead the FBI, the very institution responsible for protecting the nation from those kinds of threats?" Blumenthal pushed further, asking Patel if he regretted promoting the project. Patel dodged again. He never once acknowledged the pain, trauma, or sacrifice of the officers who defended the Capitol that day. Instead of showing clarity, Patel showed loyalty to a political leader, not to the law. And that is the point Blumenthal drove home. If Patel cannot demonstrate basic independence now, he never will. The FBI director is not supposed to be a weapon for the president. The FBI director is supposed to be a firewall between politics and justice. Every time Patel faced a question that demanded moral clarity, he answered with political elasticity. Every time he was offered a chance to defend the rule of law, he chose obedience to a political narrative instead. Blumenthal wasn't just arguing that Patel is unqualified. He was warning that appointing him would turn the FBI into an instrument of political vengeance. The hearing made the stakes painfully clear. This isn't just about a nomination. It's about whether the FBI remains a nonpartisan institution or becomes a tool of political retaliation. And if you care about a justice system that protects the truth instead of serving power, if you believe that law enforcement should never be weaponized against political opponents, then don't let this moment disappear into the noise. Like, comment, share, and subscribe so more people can witness what really happened in that room. Your engagement keeps accountability alive.